Orthodox monastery in honor of the Nativity of the Virgin Mary was founded in 1773 in the village of Curchi, Monastery region of Moldova. The main founder of the monastery and subsequently its abbot was Iordaki Curchi. After 95 years, in 1868, the monastery was converted into a monastery. This year is considered the official founding date of the Curchi Monastery. The first stone summer church named after the Nativity of the Blessed Virgin Mary was built in 1810. A beautiful bell tower was erected next to it. 34 years later, in 1844, a stone winter church in honor of St. Dimitri was built next to the rector's chambers. In 1943, restoration of the paintings and domes began, and in 1958 the monastery was closed and 3 years later a psychiatric hospital was opened there, which existed until 2002. This is despite the fact that the government of Moldova decided to restore the monastery in 1992. During this time, practically no funds were allocated for the restoration of the monastery and no repair work was carried out. In the early 2000s, the UN took the monastery under its protection and began to allocate funds for the repair and reconstruction of churches and bell towers. At the same time, the monastery was given ownership of the land of the former pioneer camp, on which the monastery's subsidiary farm was located. The monastery complex is considered one of the most famous architectural monuments of Moldova. It is located just 12 kilometers from the city of Oriai and 55 kilometers from the capital of Moldova, Chisinau, on the slopes of a picturesque hill near the Vatic River. The surrounding area around the monastery is covered with ancient oak forest. On the upper terrace of the complex there is a courtyard, on the lower terrace there is a beautiful stone pond. 30 to 40 monks and novices permanently live in the monastic quarters. There are reserve rooms for clergy who conduct services on weekends and holidays. More than 30 monasteries operate in Moldova and are actively visited by pilgrims and tourists. Each of them has a rich and tragic history. But despite all the difficulties, they preserved their traditions, built and renovated temples, cells, and landscaped the territories. The number of visitors increases every year. Orthodox youth take an active part in various religious and charitable events organized by the monks and the Orthodox Church of Moldova. It is also worth noting that tourists from the European Union, the Commonwealth of Independent States, and America are increasingly visiting Moldovan monasteries, and we hope that this trend will continue in the future.